What is up, everyone? This is Bryan Cooper over here at Ken Wilson Ford, Canton, North Carolina. Today I just want to give you a little bit of a quick video, kind of a walk around explanation and review of this 2014 Ford Mustang V6 premium package with the 6-speed transmission. So let's just go ahead and flip the camera around and start taking a look at this thing. All right, 2014 Ford Mustang. Again, this is a V6, so it's not going to be as quick as like your V8 GT Mustang, but this one I think is a really fine example of how a V6 Mustang can actually be a really great car to own, especially you can see with this convertible. That roll bar with this body style just looks really good. I like how it kind of maintains a really flat body line, basically as it curves up the fenders, follows the window line and back to the trunk. It just is a really good looking car. Obviously that roll bar looked probably the best in the SA95s, you know, kind of made popular especially with the Salines. They kind of had a wider stance. This one as well has basically the premium package of that time, which you can see does include the polished wheels. They're not chrome, it's like a polished aluminum. We have fog lights on this. We've got HIDs. As we come around to the rear, I'm not specific on which spoiler this is, if this is like a Ford option or if this is like an aftermarket accessory, but I'm a really big fan of this deck lid spoiler. It's definitely not what you're gonna see on a typical Mustang. And again, I think it looks really good with this body style, especially just kind of with that line I was talking about. That line is further carried out over the spoiler. And it is a 3-piece spoiler. You can see it's mounted to the trunk, and then it has wings along the side there. Really good look here. And especially for a black car being a few years old, this thing is in really good shape. We've had a lot of rain. It looks like it's been polished on, but the black is in good condition. Now as we open it up and look inside here, this one again has the upgraded package. So that gives us the leather seats that we have here, and that's leather for the front and rear. It's a really nice soft leather in the front. You still kind of have this you know, perforated leather. It gives it a little bit of like a classic look, a little bit like a vintage Mustang. And then of course that look is carried on through into the gauge cluster, where we have a mixture of old school gauges. And what I think is really cool is, even though this is a 2014, we do still have a digital screen here in the center. And this screen is actually very similar to what's in the new Mustangs now. So you can see this is just kind of in the clean mode. You can go in here to the gauges, and of course the vehicle's off right now, but you can still kind of track different things. Let's just say you want to look at like your cylinder head. You can actually click into that and get a little bit of a gauge view for any of these ones that are in blue. So I think that's really neat. As we go into here, this is all being controlled here from the steering wheel, of course, just over here on the left. But as we go back into this, something else I was really kind of interested about, as you can see from whoever has been driving this, whether it be someone on the lot here, the previous owner, this Mustang specifically has been getting really good fuel economy, almost 27 miles a gallon. Now on the sticker, I realized this is supposed to be good for up to about 29 miles per gallon on the highway. And I can tell you, I'm pretty sure the reason why that is because this right here. Now obviously the V6 is not a very, you know, taxing engine. It's not a high performance engine that requires, you know, a ton of fuel being dumped in. But as I was driving this on the interstate, while I was doing about 70 miles an hour in 6th gear, I was hovering at less than 2,000 RPMs. So that's a really good gearing ratio for highway driving. Now as we look at the rest of this interior, with the leather package, we do of course have leather wrapped steering wheel. We've got a really nice leather shift boot here, leather wrapped e-brake handle, of course. Now of course this is a few years old. There's no backup camera, there's no touchscreen or anything here, but this one does have the shaker stereo, and you know, it's also fitted with Sirius. So I've got a station programmed on here. I'm gonna hit this real quick and we'll see what's playing, and I'm sure we'll get some good bass. So as you can hear, that's a really clear stereo. I was really shocked for such a small cabin, you know, how well that stereo actually does. And obviously not all the Mustangs had that feature. Kind of looking around the rest of it, we've got a bullet plug here, which I think is kind of nicely hidden. I would think that's really best if you want to put like a dash cam or something that might be right in this area, maybe something like a GPS or something you'd want to mount right here, and you've got your plug right there. So I think it's actually a really smart area to put that. And then we've got some pretty decent cup holders. Now I've got some trash in here right now. I thought I got all out. But we've got some really nice deep cup holders. And anybody with a sports car knows that cup holders are not required on a lot of sports cars. But you can see we've actually got 2 different depths here. So it can accommodate all kinds of different cup sizes. And then kind of back here in the center, we've got a huge center pocket, which has some carpet down on the bottom. You've got another bullet 12-volt plug, and then you've got USB, and then you've got your line in. So you can, this doesn't have Bluetooth, but you can hook up to the sync system, and you can just plug in with your auxiliary. I would say that the lack of a Bluetooth feature, from what I can see, is probably the only detriment to this car as far as being like a modern vehicle to drive. But other than that, as we just kind of look at the rest of this does have a power folding top. So right now it's in the down position, but as I just hold this button, you can see the top does close. We'll give this a second. It's not the fastest power top, but none of them really are. So it's really easy to use. So now that we've got the top there, all you'd have to do is take the latch here, and you can see it already lines up with where it needs to be. You basically just close this and latch that side, and then same thing over here. You just do the same thing. It already lines up. You just close that, and it's done. That's it. So to put it down, again, you just unlatch those. We'll push the button again, and there goes the top. All right, now as far as driving impressions go, I've actually spent probably the last 20 to 30 minutes just kind of running a couple errands right around town real quick, getting some lunch, took it up and down the highway. This is actually my first time driving any of these V6 Mustangs. We've had some on the lot before, but all of them have been automatic. So when we got this one in and I saw that it was a stick shift, I got pretty excited. I also like the look with the black and the spoiler on the back. I think the wheel package is good. You know, some of those things I had already pointed out earlier, but I was actually pretty impressed. The V6 definitely pulls pretty hard. I'm not going to pretend like it's very fast. It's definitely faster than probably what's needed for everyday driving, but I think it's got decent power, decent torque. With that gearing being so low, or I guess being so high, I guess I should say, when you're on the interstate in like 6th gear, and you're doing 60, 70 miles an hour, and you put your foot down, there is some power, but it's not like this instant wash of torque. I've driven other cars that are V6s that have a little bit more horsepower, a little bit more torque. This one's like in the mid 200s, but I've had other ones that just feel a little bit better. I think a lot of that is just because of the gearing of the transmission, because when you're driving around in like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, it actually feels really good. I would say actually when you're in 5th gear, you've got pretty good power on the highway. So I'm fairly certain that 6th gear is basically just tapped in for that fuel economy, as we saw that, 27 to 29 miles per gallon that's proclaimed. But top up, I think visibility is decent. Top down, of course, visibility is excellent. With no backup camera, having the top down makes this thing really easy to back. There's no problems there. Again, I love the stereo. When I was actually driving with the top down on the highway, I could still hear the stereo very well. That was something I was kind of curious to hear about. And then even with this stock wheel and tire setup, and I'm pretty sure it's not a staggered setup, it's not like a sports tire, it's like a high performance all season tire on this right now. I was actually decently impressed with how nimble the car felt. I didn't take it on any serious back roads or any kind of serious hard driving, but about 40, 45 miles an hour, I like that the steering response was pretty sharp. So I think it really does, kind of hit a lot of the cues right there. I think if this were me, I think possibly having, bigger sway bars and just maybe a different wheel and tire package would actually really plant this car to the ground, and that would be without like lowering it. I'm a kind of a performance car guy, so those are things that I would recommend if I was just wanting to kind of tighten up the handling. Of course, lowering a car also kind of lowers the center of gravity, but I think even stock form, this is actually a really solid buy. And this car currently is priced over here at Ken Wilson Ford for right around $16,000. So for way less than $20,000, this car is a 2014, as I said. It does have 75,000 miles, so it's actually right in line or maybe even a little bit lower than what a lot of your 2014s, 13s, and 15s would have. So pretty average miles. It's been really well taken care of. Carfax is clean. It's very rare to find these. Obviously with the V6s, a lot of them are just going to be automatics. You're going to find a lot of rental cars that were out there. But to find one with this trim package, with the leather, with the heated seats, with the sync package, with the little screen here on the center, with the wheels, with the spoiler, obviously the transmission we talked about. This is kind of an all-around car. I think the only thing that lacks on this car is the fact it just doesn't have a V8, but a V8 car is always going to be a whole lot more. So that's pretty much it for this. There's a lot more I could probably go into detail on, but I just figure I'd kind of walk around and show you some of the key features of what a 2014 looks like, especially now that we're in 2020. So I hope you all like this. If anybody has questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments, or if you're watching this on Facebook, obviously just comment there or send me a message. This one is not currently on the website as of today, and that's March 25th, but I imagine it's going to be probably in the next 24 to 48 hours. And I highly suspect that I would give this car maybe a week before it sells. So if this is something that you're interested in, I know we've got a lot of stuff going on with the virus and whatever, but if this is something that you're interested in, I would jump on this quick. So again, my name is Bryan Cooper. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thanks, and have a great day.